Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're taking a look at Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
That's right.
And this one was sent in by you, the listener.
Yeah, it definitely looks like someone's trying to reclaim some of that precious time.
Especially as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many hours in the day.
Absolutely. And you know what I find really interesting about this book is that it's not just about, surface level tips and tricks.
Okay.
It digs into the psychology
Ooh.
behind why we struggle with time management, and especially entrepreneurs.
I like it already. I'm kind of tired of these, productivity books that just promise to make you some kind of superhuman
Right.
multitasking machine.
Yeah.
This one seems to go a little deeper.
Yeah, it really does. And it all comes back to Dan's kind of unconventional journey.
Okay.
His backstory isn't your typical entrepreneur story. He was actually in and out of trouble with the law as a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Even spent some time in jail.
That's intense.
It is. And, that experience really shaped his approach to everything.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's this pivotal moment when he's serving time and a guard asks him, "Why are you here?"
Oh, wow.
Not in a judgmental way, but more like, what led you down this path? And it forces Dan to confront his own tendency towards chaos, which later becomes both an asset and a challenge in his entrepreneurial life.
So his comfort with chaos kind of helped him thrive as an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
But it also sabotaged his time management.
Yes, exactly.
That's so interesting.
And later, when he discovers coding, it's like a whole new world opens up.
Okay.
The predictability of software was the complete opposite of everything he'd known.
Yeah.
And this sparks his passion for entrepreneurship, and that journey eventually leads him to the core idea of this book, the buyback principle.
Okay, I like it. Let's unpack this buyback principle. What does it actually mean?
Simply put, it means treating your time as your most valuable asset.
Okay.
Invest it where it yields the highest return, not just on tasks that anyone else could handle.
So figure out what you're uniquely good at, and then just focus your time and energy on those high-value activities.
Precisely. And there's this great example in the book about this real estate agent who was just drowning in phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
Finally hired an assistant to just manage those calls, and it freed him up to focus on building relationships and closing deals.
Makes sense.
His business boomed, and he had time for his family again.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes you realize how many of us are stuck in the weeds doing things that are holding us back.
Totally, and I think that's where this idea of time assassins comes in, right?
Yes. These are the patterns of behavior that steal our time and keep us from achieving our goals.
Uh-huh.
He identifies 5 types: the staller, the speed demon, the supervisor, the saver, and the self-medicator.
Yeah.
Each one represents a different way we sabotage our time,
Interesting.
and often because of that underlying chaos addiction.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm definitely seeing myself in a few of those.
I think we all are.
But it really makes you wonder, is this whole hustle harder mentality actually making things worse?
It's a great question for all of you listening to consider. Are you caught in the get-done trap?
Yeah.
Because while hard work is important, Dan makes it clear that it's not sustainable in the long run,
Uh-huh.
It leads to burnout, strained relationships, even health problems.
And that's where one of his, key tools comes in, right?
Yeah.
This DREC matrix.
Yes, the deep red matrix.
Yeah.
This helps you categorize your tasks based on 2 factors: how much energy they give you
Okay.
and how much money they earn you.
Makes sense.
The goal is to spend as much time as possible in the production quadrant, doing work that energizes you and generates revenue.
That sounds ideal,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you actually figure out which tasks belong in which quadrant?
Well, let's say you're spending hours each week on social media, but it's not bringing in much revenue.
Yeah.
That's probably a delegation quadrant task, something you could outsource or automate. Imagine freeing up that time to focus on developing new products or building relationships with key clients.
Right.
Those are production quadrant activities.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
So it's not about working harder.
Yeah.
It's about working smarter on the right things.
Exactly.
And I think this is where the concept of systems and playbooks comes in.
Exactly. Even if you're delegating tasks, you need clear systems in place.
Yeah.
Dan compares it to McDonald's.
Okay.
Their success isn't about having the best food.
Right.
It's about predictable execution.
Right.
They have systems for everything.
Uh-huh.
And it allows them to scale their business massively.
I like it.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah. It's not about reinventing the wheel every time.
No.
It's about creating those repeatable processes that anyone can follow.
Exactly.
And Dan actually has this hilarious story about training coders in his car because the internet access was so unreliable,
Oh, wow.
back then. And he eventually realized he could systematize this training by recording it.
There you go. That's a perfect example of how even seemingly chaotic situations can lead to breakthroughs. If you embrace systematization.
I like it.
Think about a time when you had to get creative to overcome a challenge in your business.
Yeah.
Did you develop any systems or processes as a result?
That's a great question for our listeners.
Yeah.
We'll pause here for a moment just to give you a chance to reflect on that.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, the book introduces this idea of the perfect week.
Yes.
What is that all about?
The perfect week is about designing a weekly template
Okay.
that optimizes for your energy levels, not just cramming in as many tasks as possible.
Got it.
It's about being intentional with your time and creating a schedule that allows you to be your most productive self.
So being proactive instead of reactive.
Yes.
And planning your week in a way that sets you up for success.
Exactly.
I love that the book emphasizes that even high achievers use this approach.
Oh, yeah.
There's the example of Michael Hyatt, an introvert CEO, who batches all his meetings on certain days to preserve creative energy for the rest of the week.
It's a great example of how you can tailor the perfect week concept to your own personality and work style.
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, so I buy back my time, I create systems, I design my perfect week, but what do I actually do with all this newfound freedom?
That's the question, right? That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And that's where the 10X vision comes in.
Exactly. And remember, if you want to dive deeper into this incredible concept of the 10X vision, a link to the full book can be found in the description or pinned comment.
Perfect.
But for now, let's explore what Dan has to say about this. The 10X vision is about defining a vision that's so big, so audacious that it pulls you forward.
It sounds kind of intimidating.
It can be.
How do you even wrap your head around a vision that big?
That's where Dan's experience as a mentor really comes in.
Okay.
He shares these inspiring stories of entrepreneurs he's worked with, like the founders of Club Penguin.
Oh, yeah. I remember Club Penguin.
Their initial dreams seemed impossible.
Yeah.
To create this virtual world for kids that was safe and fun.
Right.
But their passion was contagious.
Uh-huh.
And it led to a massive acquisition by Disney.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is.
It really shows the power of having a bold vision and actually committing to it.
Absolutely.
But how do you go from a big abstract vision to actually making it happen?
That's where the book gets really practical.
Oh.
Dan provides a framework for breaking down your 10X vision into smaller, achievable steps.
Okay.
He calls them checkpoints.
I like it.
And he emphasizes the importance of identifying specific tactics that will move you towards each checkpoint.
So it's like creating a roadmap.
Yes.
Almost like reverse engineering your success.
Exactly. And he recommends using a scoring system called IC
Okay.
to prioritize those tactics based on impact, confidence, and ease of implementation.
So you're focusing on the activities that are actually going to have the biggest payoff.
Sure.
Okay, so you've got your 10X vision, you break it down into checkpoints, and you've identified your tactics. What's next?
All of this leads to what Dan calls the preloaded year.
Yeah.
This is where you take all that planning and you put it into action.
Got it.
It's about creating a yearly calendar that's strategically designed to make sure you're making progress on your 10X vision, but also balancing all the other important areas of your life.
So it's not just about scheduling business tasks.
Right.
It's also about scheduling time for your family, your friends, hobbies, personal growth.
Yes.
All those things that actually contribute to a fulfilling life.
Precisely. It's about creating a life that you love both inside and outside of your business.
I like that.
The preloaded year helps you do that by ensuring that you're making time for all the things that matter most.
That's powerful. This is making me think about something else Dan mentioned in the book, this idea of being a trader as an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
What did he mean by that?
He uses the trader levels concept to explain that entrepreneurs are essentially trading their time and energy for something else.
Okay.
Whether it's money, impact, or freedom.
Right.
He identifies 3 levels: level 1 traders, level 2 traders, and level 3 traders.
So level 1 traders are just starting out,
Yeah.
trading their time for money almost like an hourly wage.
Right. They might be running their own business,
Yeah.
but they haven't figured out how to leverage their time effectively.
Okay.
Then you have level 2 traders.
Okay.
They've started to build systems, delegate tasks,
Yeah.
allowing them to generate more revenue without working more hours.
They're starting to see the bigger picture.
Yes.
Think strategically about their business.
Exactly. And then you have the level 3 traders.
The big dogs.
Yes. These are the empire builders, the ones who have mastered the art of buying back their time.
Okay.
And are using that freedom to pursue their passions and make a real impact on the world.
I love that. So it's not just about like escaping the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's about creating a life of purpose and fulfillment.
Exactly. And Dan argues that anyone can become a level 3 trader.
Really?
If they're willing to embrace the buyback principle and commit to the process of reclaiming their time in their lives.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we actually have the power to choose how we spend our time.
Yes.
To create a life that's truly meaningful.
Yes.
Makes me think about all those people who say they want to retire early.
Right.
But Dan actually says he doesn't want to retire at all.
I know, it's interesting.
Why do you think that is?
He sees retirement as a cop-out.
Really?
A way of giving up on your dreams and passions. He believes that when you're truly passionate about what you're doing, work doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
It's a source of joy and fulfillment.
I could definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
When you're excited about the work you're doing, it stops feeling like a chore.
Exactly.
And it becomes an expression of who you are.
And that brings us to another important concept from the book, the investment quadrant. This is all about those activities that nourish your soul and recharge your batteries.
Like what?
Things like relationships, hobbies, personal growth, giving back to the community.
Right. Those are the things that often get neglected.
Yes.
When we're busy and stressed.
Absolutely.
But they're essential.
They are.
For our well-being.
Dan provides a helpful cheat sheet called The 7 Pillars of Life, which outlines the key areas we need to focus on to live a balanced and fulfilling life.
I like it.
These pillars include health, love, spirituality, contribution, and more.
So it's like a holistic approach to life.
Exactly.
It recognizes that we're not just machines.
Right.
We're human beings with complex needs and desires.
Yes.
We need to take care of all aspects of ourselves in order to thrive.
The investment quadrant helps us do that by reminding us to make time for those things that bring us joy and recharge our batteries.
I like it. And speaking of recharging our batteries, this feels like a good place to pause.
Yeah.
Give our listeners a chance to absorb everything we've covered.
Yeah. Good idea. We've covered a lot.
We have. From Dan's background to the buyback principle,
time assassins,
DRP matrix,
perfect week 10x vision,
trader levels, and the investment quadrant. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But remember, if you want to dive deeper into any of these concepts, a link to the full book can be found in the description or a pinned comment.
Absolutely.
It is a lot to digest. But what stands out to you most so far? What really resonates?
I think it's all connected, you know, from those time assassins to the perfect week. It all builds towards that bigger vision.
That's true. You know, one thing that really struck me about this book, Buy Back Your Time, is that it's not just about being more efficient or productive.
No.
It's really about creating a life that's actually aligned with your values and goals.
Exactly. It's about using that reclaimed time to, you know, pursue your passions.
Yeah.
Build those meaningful relationships. Make a difference in the world. Whatever that looks like for you.
It's about designing a life that you don't need a vacation from. And it all comes back to that initial question the guard asked Dan in jail.
Right.
Why are you here?
It is about figuring out your purpose.
Yeah.
And then using your time and energy to make it a reality.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
When you're clear on your why,
yes,
the how becomes so much easier.
Absolutely.
You're not just going through the motions.
Right.
You're actually driven by a purpose.
Yeah.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of what Buy Back Your Time has to offer.
It's packed with, you know, practical advice and thought-provoking questions and stories.
Yeah, and for anyone listening who's feeling overwhelmed or stuck, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a reminder that you have the power.
You do.
To choose how you spend your time.
Yes.
And create a life that's meaningful and fulfilling.
Absolutely. Stop waiting for someday to build the life you want. Take control. Buy back your time and start living those dreams.
Love that. And remember, you can find a link to the full book in the description or a pinned comment if you're ready to take that next step.
So what are you waiting for? Start reclaiming your time and let us know what you discover along the way.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and takeaways. Until next time, keep diving deep.